Insomniacs Wolverine just got announced, and my god, does that game look sick. I don't know about you, but this is way more appealing to me than a fourth Spider-Man game. We do still have a little while until that releases, so let's take a look back at the only other Wolverine game on PlayStation that has a platinum trophy, X-Men Origins Wolverine. The game was released on May the 1st, 2009, the same day as the same titled film, and it holds pretty favourable reviews, being one of the rare cases where a game has been better received than its movie counterpart. The game has hack and slash gameplay, heavily reminding me of the combat in the PS2 God of War games, with a mix of story-based, combat, and collectible trophies, with the key one here being Walking Death, for completing the game on hard difficulty. Unfortunately, however, this difficulty is locked from the start, meaning we're going to have to do 2 playthroughs for this platinum trophy. The opening cutscene showcases some of the brutality this game has to offer, as well as Wolverine's healing abilities, with a time jump being done to Africa, throwing us right into the action with visceral combat and brutal takedowns that truly capture the essence of Wolverine.
So heavy attack, light attack, block. Okay. Yeah, it's very much hack and slash gameplay.
Speaking of brutal takedowns... what the fuck? Was not expecting that. The traversal part of this game is also very much Uncharted-esque, with some climbing sections. But after a few more combat encounters, we earn our first of many combat-related trophies for taking down enemies in different ways, like this one here for getting 25 lunge kills. Some of the other trophies we earn are collectible based, and the collectibles in this game are a bitch. You see, there's not really a good comprehensive video guide out there, so the text guide is your best option. The other problem is the collectibles don't track properly, so if you miss one, you risk having to play the whole game again trying to find the one you're missing. My recommendation, and what I did, is to check in the settings after each level and make sure it matches with the total on the text guide. With all that waffling out the way, we found a dog tag, and there's a trophy here called Found, in the same location as this dog tag for finding the mysterious hatch that is seen right here, which apparently this is a reference to the TV show Lost, but I never saw it, so it's going right over my head. Anyway, I found my first outfit collectible, which will be relevant for another trophy later on, and I also had another trophy for defeating 100 enemies. Shortly after, we meet the Leviathan, the first mini-boss that will continue to fight throughout the game, and they also remind me a bit of the trolls you constantly face in God of War 2018, right down to the QuickTime event of spamming the square button.
QuickTime event, of course.
With the Leviathan down, it's time to take out some mercenaries in the boats, with this big ass machine gun. It is short-lived, however, as we crash and meet our brother Victor. Now I have to admit, I haven't yet seen the movie. I don't know any of the lore. I didn't even understand what the hell was happening with the story most of the time, so forgive me if I get things wrong, it's mostly off the wiki page for this game. As far as I'm aware, this is Victor Creed, also known as Sabretooth, and he is both Logan's brother and a total dick who killed his partner and the rest of the X-Men crew. He has tracked Logan down and they have a scrap in a bar. By doing a counterattack for the first time, we can earn the trophy Defensive. And by finishing the fight, we're given the trophy Bar Fight. The brief cutscene shows Wolverine being knocked out, and when he wakes up, his girlfriend is unresponsive. But remember her, because somehow this isn't the last we'll see of her. Now's where things made absolutely no sense for me at the time. From the bar fight, there's one of the 700 time jumps in this game, where we play as the moment where Logan was turned into Wolverine in the lab. He's scheduled to be terminated, as he can't be trusted. And they have his DNA, which is needed for Weapon 11. Weapon 11 is also known as weird-looking Deadpool, also played by Ryan Reynolds. Something to note is this movie has been completely retconned for inaccuracies. So the Deadpool in this game is one we do not speak of. The Forbidden Deadpool, if you will. This whole segment in the labs is pretty intense, as the corridors make the gameplay a lot more cramped, which makes it a lot easier to get surrounded. There's these new bladed enemies, which aren't too tough.
Oh, that was easy.
And of course, more dog tags to keep collecting. Before we meet the ghost-type enemies. These guys can go invisible. They are pretty straightforward to take out, especially if you use feral senses. And there's also a trophy called Shotgun Epic Fail for killing 25 of them with their own weapon. And this can be done by grabbing them and then mashing the triangle button. Another different type of enemy, and this is the Wendigo prototype, which is similar to the Leviathans from earlier. And whilst taking it down, we earn a trophy.
Piggyback ride. Is that for like jumping on it to kill it or something?
Yes it is. Aside from the combat, there's also some puzzles, but they're very simple at this stage, for just collecting a battery and depositing it elsewhere to progress. which eventually leads us to this scientist, who's trying to help free us and give Wolverine his full powers.
Oh, we've got clothes now. That's good.
Such as the very important one, his healing abilities.
The regeneration doesn't look great on the PS3.
Hey, somebody take my picture.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Taking out these guys also gives us a trophy for lunging onto 100 enemies total. After getting our feral senses back with the help of the scientist, we meet more bladed enemies and perform our 25th counterattack.
Untouchable. That's 25 counters. That's all the counters we need to do. Okay, beautiful.
And shortly after, deflect our first rocket back at an enemy for the trophy, Catch. Now this is where things with the story got a little bit lost for me. Logan finds the Skell trapped, but she has the ability to teleport. However, she's not strong enough to teleport them out of the facility. It's short-lived anyway, because next are these Goliath enemies, and they completely kicked my ass, until I realised that you can sort of dodge over them, making them vulnerable.
That's how you do it. You just dodge over them. It didn't say that. It never told me to dodge over them.
With them now down, Logan is protecting the girl from being shot, before she willingly teleports to safety.
Jesus Christ. He's just firming it.
Leaving him to escape himself. And that's through this giant tunnel on some trucks as it's getting completely flooded. And that signals a trophy for reaching the end of chapter 1.
Spillaway escape.
Back to Africa. God knows why, all the Africa sequences are pretty lame, with barely any story to them. There's a few trap rooms like this one here that reminds me a lot of the one in Resident Evil 4, and there's also some more new enemies and some more big enemies, before Wolverine explodes this tower and knocks himself out in the process. Well done, genius. Anyway, this flashes back to what I presume is just after the previous chapter in this snowy area. This area begins with more of the same, with many enemies, and that's shown by the trophy Slaughterhouse, for dismembering 100 enemies. Very soon after, we also get a trophy for killing 500 enemies total. There are also these extra abilities we can use whilst taking down enemies, such as the Berserker one. This gives Wolverine a massive damage boost, and by defeating 50 enemies whilst under this effect, we can earn another combat-related trophy. Just as we enter this compound, we earn You Can't Hide for lunging to 250 enemies. Right, let's go to something a little bit more fun than just combat trophies. Entering this hidden cave lets us find a skeleton with a sword and earns us the trophy, Wow. Which I'm presuming is a reference to the game World of Warcraft, but I've never played it, so what that reference is, I couldn't figure out. If anyone does have a Scooby, let me know down below. There's some more platforming traversal, which was a little bit unforgiving in this section.
That's fucking stupid.
Before we meet someone called David Nord, who's also known as Agent Zero, and he did look a little bit like another famous actor.
It literally looks like Tom Cruise. Is it Tom Cruise in the film?
Anyway, this fight is pretty straightforward. There's these big enemies we saw earlier. This time they grow in front of our eyes from these test tube kind of things, and we will be coming back here for a trophy later on. But for now, taking them out doesn't give us too much trouble. What does give us trouble is the helicopter sequence, which is designed so piss poorly it's beyond a joke.
It says use L to dodge, but that's not fucking clear enough, is it? Like, when I dodge, he's not fucking shooting, and then as soon as I go to attack, he starts shooting me. Fuck off, man. This is bullshit. This is literally dog shit. Right. What? That was ridiculous, man. End of the chapter, I think, anyway. Helicopter ride. Goodbye, Tom Cruise. I have absolutely no idea what's going on with the story here, I'm not gonna lie. Africa again. Oh, for fuck's sake.
So honestly, God knows what's happening in the story at this point, but there's another terrible Africa sequence with some new enemies that I'm going to completely skip over to get back to the interesting stuff. The third chapter is in this facility, and it's pretty wild.
What? Is this Star Wars? The fuck are these? That's pretty sick.
Within this facility, we're at the halfway point for finding all of the dog tags, which earns us a trophy. And after defeating more enemies, some droids and some not, whilst in our feral senses, we earn heightened senses for defeating 200 total. Within the facility, Wolverine takes an elevator down and runs into this woman, which sends us back to Africa. Yay. At least here, I earned Weapon X for 150 Berserker mode kills. The end of Africa flashes us back to the facility, where we learn the woman from earlier is the well-known Mystique. See, she's well known because I didn't have to look at the wiki to tell you who the flip she was. Anyway, she walks off somewhere else, but at least we can find the secret hidden room with a cake in it for a trophy. See, this is a reference I know from the amazing 2007 game Portal. There's this big robot enemy we have to fight, mainly just deflecting a load of rockets back at him, but what we're really here for is the scientist's hand, which grants us access to the rest of the facility. Here, there's a gigantic robot, which is built to kill mutants like Wolverine. And in this section of the facility, we collect our third upgrade of one mutagen for the trophy, Mutant Lover. As always, there's more collectibles to grab before we come face to face with the giant robot properly. And I have since been informed that this is called a Sentinel. After some platforming, we power up the hand and use it against it to escape this section. And that leads to a cutscene between Mystique and a bloke in a hat. God knows what they're chatting about, but they have a smooch and vanish on out of there. When we leave, we've got this diabolical boss fight against a Sentinel. It's just such a frustrating design, as you can get pushed all over the place, and there's no real cohesive way to consistently get hits in. Once you do land enough hits, he flies off and there's this diving section, and it's such a pain in the arse. Diving down and constantly getting hit here by flying objects. The controls are piss poor, and the objects just seem to appear out of thin air.
Nightmare. Absolute nightmare. Fallen Sentinel. I need a break. That was just awful. Awful design.
Once he's defeated, the story jumps a few hours later to this fat fuck eating in a shopping mall. And Logan, being the superhero he is, wants to kick the shit out of him. But before that, we need to destroy everything in the mall for the trophy, clean up on all aisles.
Cool, that's him. It should be a trophy for defeating him as well. There it is. Put up your dukes.
Once he's defeated, he sends us to Remy LeBeau, also known as Gambit. If I'm correct, these were also the exploding clones in the Deadpool game I recently covered. This boss fight is pretty simple once you know how to defeat him, but well, I didn't know how to, and it wasn't very fun.
What are you supposed to do? You just can't get near him.
You see, I had to deflect this rocket before I could actually pounce and do damage. But that didn't really matter anyway, because Logan loses and gets impaled, and that sets up the mission, chasing him back down. There's a lot of combat in this chapter, as we hunt the annoying French guy down with some platforming.
Why does it feel like he's running against a strong wind in slow motion?
Some puzzles, and another helicopter takedown, which thankfully is a lot easier than the last. There's also this walkway we can throw enemies off to earn the trophy, drop dead, before we finally catch up with Gambit and have this pretty epic looking boss fight on some light up signs. This boss fight is pretty easy, as you can just stun lock him when you get the right combos in, although he can completely knock you off, just making it quite a long ordeal. But after battering him, the boss fight is finished, earning us a trophy and some information on where Stryker's base is.
It's a long trip to the island. You can tell me on the way.
But that's all irrelevant for now, as we need to finish off the Africa sections. We're going to have to play this level an awful lot for some cleanup combat trophies after the game. Even just looking at this level again is making me feel a little bit sick. There are some combat sections we can earn in this section with the constant stream of enemies. First of all is for killing 10 enemies using the environment, which I can't believe took me this long into the game to get.
I've earned a trophy in the game's frozen. Environmentally friendly. Great.
And next is a triple threat of trophies for using the quick kill ability, something which I didn't know was a thing until this point of the game. Luckily, it's pretty easy to get done, as it just involves grabbing the enemies and timing your attack with the flash of the light. And there's a trophy for doing this once, 3 times in a row, and 20 times total. With the last stone pillar moved, the Africa sections finally come to an end. And at this point, I've literally got zero idea what's going on. But Wolverine gets knocked out, letting us reach the finale of the game. And the finale is pretty short, but at least it's entertaining. There's a courtyard combat section, which will clean up some trophies in later, as well as the last collectible in the game.
Yeah, this is it. This will be the last dog tag, so we should get the hardest trophy in the game. Well, one of the longest trophies in the game. For all collectibles, all dog tags. There it is, Devil's Brigade.
And with that, it is the last part of the game, and it's super confusing to someone like me who hasn't seen the film. As far as I can tell, Logan's girlfriend from earlier isn't dead, and he wants to wipe his memory because she's betrayed him. But this is interrupted by Victor Creed from earlier, who Wolverine absolutely batters this time around. We show him mercy though, and the woman reveals she didn't actually betray us.
No, Logan, you're not an animal, and I didn't trick you into loving me.
You're alive because of her.
That does mean though, it's time to fight the forbidden Deadpool mentioned earlier. And this fight on this difficulty is pretty simple, as we just batter him with attacks, and counter when necessary. The thing is, I can't say the same for beating him on hard difficulty. On this difficulty, however, it's a straightforward finish, as once again, Deadpool loses his head, earning us the final story-related trophy of the game.
That's gotta be it, right? Yep, the Deadpool.
With the story done, there's more confusing cutscenes. I'm really bad at explaining what the fuck is happening in this game. These two are not killing each other anymore. Then Logan finds his missus. Then he gets shot, so she decides to drown herself. Logan wakes up and walks off. Yeah, it's symbolic of something, alright? Anyway, the game is finished, and it's at this part of the journey the game turned into a complete slog, as I'd have to replay the same chapters over and over and over again. The first miscellaneous ones are quite fun, for fighting 4 Wendigo prototypes at the same time in the Tom Cruise section. It's also here I earned the trophy Apprentice, for raising 1 combat reflex to the master level. And this happens when defeating enough of a certain type of enemy. For the trophy Samurai, we'll have to do this with all of them, and that's where the grind really starts to come in. But before that, we could fall through this ring looking thing in the frustrating robot section.
Yeah, threading the needle. I hate doing this, boss. Yeah, fuck this, I'm not doing it again.
And impale Victor Creed in the bar fight outside area. With those ones out of the way, let's run through all of the combat related trophies I got in the Africa sections. And there's quite a lot. For defeating 6 enemies at once.
It's slice and dice. I can't believe I didn't get that earlier.
Grabbing 10 enemies midair. 200 total kills with the claw spin attack. And this really fiddly one for getting 6 enemies airborne at once, which is a lot more frustrating to do than it sounds.
Yeah, aerial master, lovely.
But we aren't done there, as I continued to run the last chapter of the game, God knows how many times, until it was giving me a headache. But at least earning the trophies for 30 environment kills, and lighting 20 enemies on fire.
There it is, hot potato.
Just to reinforce how long this was taking, after beating the game I had about 1300 kills. And here I unlocked the trophy for 2000 kills. One of the more interesting trophies we can get is from the main menu. By pressing the bonus section and fighting Wolverine in a challenge, we can jump at the exact same time as the AI for the trophy James Howlett. I also ran through the facility section a few times, as there are 4 ghost enemies that appear here, making the shotgun epic fail trophy mentioned earlier easier to grind out. I could also checkpoint to the tunnel again and deflect these rockets back, earning the trophy Boomerang.
Oh, for the love of fuck. Boom. Right, that should be it. There it is, Boomerang.
Leaving just the final 2 incredibly grindy trophies.
Oh my god, that's machete free. This has taken so long, please. Oh, thank fuck for that. Samurai. That is every single reflex upgraded to the full. That takes so unnecessarily long. That's ridiculous. Oh, thank god, that should be it. That's level 39, which means we don't have to do anything else in this save. So all we need to do is go to skills, and then the last skill is claw drill heavy damage. We should get the last trophy on this playthrough. There it is, fully loaded.
With everything on that playthrough done, it's time to turn our attention to the final trophy in the game, Walking Death, for beating the game on hard difficulty. To be honest, it's really not that bad. All they do is just buff up the enemies so they take way more hits. After a few hours of rushing through the game as best I could, I found myself at the Deadpool boss fight once again. And the way to take him down is just a crazy amount of spamming, particularly in quick time events after counter-attacking him. But the real problems occur in the second phase.
We gotta do this so many times, man. His health's barely moving. Oh, why does he keep teleporting like that, man? I can't get near him. His fucking teleports.
After dying once, I didn't want to spend another 15 minutes of spamming, hoping to wind down his health, so I locked in as best I could and tried to make sure I got over to him as quick as possible whenever he teleported away, until we only needed to do it a couple of more times.
That's gotta be it. That's gotta be it. Oh my god. That's it. Do we get the trophy? Walking Death. And of course, Platinum. For beating the Wolverine on the hardest difficulty. It was okay up until that final boss. That final boss did push me a little bit. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe for more. And click on the screen to see another video by me.